Hello, Call of Duty fans. Welcome back to Checkmate Gaming. I'm Hold Shift, and today we use this episode as a way to pay tribute to Karma, one of the greatest to ever do it, and I would say in a lot of people's minds, the greatest to ever do it with competitive Call of Duty, as he has officially announced his retirement from competitive Call of Duty play. Coming on June the 3rd, mid-evening, the Seattle Surge posted up a tweet saying that, without question, Karma is the greatest of all time, and he has chosen to retire from competitive play. Along with that post was a graphical image that kind of released a statement from Damon himself, stating that, "I would like to thank everyone that helped me on my journey, first and foremost my wife Holly and my daughter Bella, who motivate and inspire me every day. To my teammates throughout the years, including my current teammates in the Seattle Surge, to all the fans that have followed me throughout my entire career, from my 3 championship seasons through to today with those in the city of Seattle, I'd like to say thank you for your support as I enter the next chapter in my life. I wish all the best to the Surge organization and thank them for their understanding and guidance through this tough decision." Damon has been an incredible staple to the Call of Duty scene from the beginning of it, dating back all the way really before Modern Warfare 3, but of course the first major championship coming in the year of 2013 with Farico Impact playing with Killa, Miracles, and Parasite for his first of what would be 3 rings. Going forward, you see him able to do all of that he did with complexity during that dynasty, including another Call of Duty championship in the year of 2014, and then naturally we get to AW with the Optic trend where everything was going their way in that Optic dynasty, which didn't lead to another championship again until 2017, where they were able to get that done with Optic Gaming in IW. Incredible career for Karma. I mean, again, everything that happened after World War II was maybe a little bit shaky. Black Ops 4, another great year for him, though, through and through. And then this year to the Seattle Surge in the first franchise year, the timing of this move definitely seems a little bit strange. But again, he also went on to say a little bit more on his personal Twitter that he thought that this was something that he needed to do a while ago. Game really wasn't catered to him, didn't enjoy running around with an MP5, and just had zero desire to get on and play the game. That was pretty bad, to be honest. I don't know if I'd agree with that, and I think they could be doing better without me. And he went on to kind of follow up with a couple other tweets that essentially said that he's doing this now on his own accord. Maybe he should have done it after World War II, but things kind of kept him around. So it's still a tough loss. Again, the greatest to ever do it. 3 rings, Karma the GOAT. It's just one of those things that it's been such a hard time kind of identifying what has been going wrong with Seattle, considering the roster that they're playing with being so incredibly good. But you take a look at what Seattle's been doing and what they're going to be doing moving forward. This is a squad that I currently have dead last in my power rankings, and they sit near dead last in both hardpoint and specifically in the Search and Destroy currently, with how the rest of the league kind of ranks in each of those modes. The good news for Seattle is they've been very good in the domination. They rank 3rd there overall with a pretty solid positive differential. Now, the biggest question mark for me as far as when you move forward from here on out, where do you go if you're the Seattle Surge? I think out of anybody on the roster, Karma was the one that we were looking at saying that he and Octane are true staples of what this roster needs to look like. They need to be part of that core duo to make sure there is some growth and development going on, a lot of expertise, a lot of veteranship. But now that you lose Karma, you have to go back to what recently happened with all the roster moves of Seattle. Again, it was enabled to start off the season. That didn't work well. Pander gets brought up. He ends up starting for the better part of a handful of weeks, and the team looks to be progressing in a couple of areas. Then we go most recently to the last time we saw these guys play at their own home series, where it was actually Enable starting for the respawns and Pander starting for the searches on Friday. That only lasted a total of 1 match versus the New York Subliners, where then they would go to Enable back onto the bench, Pander starting for everything, and they would lose for the first time against the Los Angeles Guerrillas. Now, what's going to happen as far as moves go? Proto will actually jump off the bench and join the team as a starter instead of Enable. So now you've got Proto and Pander off the bench, 2 guys that played together at the Minnesota launch weekend where they finished 4th with Hybrid Gaming. They will now be taking up the composite with this team of Apathy, Octane, and Slacked. Enable will be on the bench. And apparently, beyond that, we're also hearing word that there's going to be maybe a little bit of an AR swap up, as it might not be Octane running the set AR anymore. Maybe he'll be running more of a flex. There's a lot of question marks as far as what's going on with Seattle. So the big question that is kind of standing in my mind is, will Proto make this team competitive again? I can't see a world where I sit there and say yes, he will. The only time we've really seen him play outside of the Minnesota launch weekend is if you've been watching his personal streams or when he was playing back at the 1Ks and 2K series. The Seattle team going into our next home series weekend versus Minnesota will be in a very tough group. They've got Atlanta up first, and then they've also got Minnesota and Dallas awaiting. This feels like another weekend where Seattle very well could and likely will go 0-2 in their match counts. That's not good for a team that's already sitting near the bottom of the leaderboards as terms of points go for the season standings, but things just don't get any easier for them as they move on into future weekends. So this is one of those things that for Seattle, this has to work for you. Now, there were questions kind of posed by what was happening from CDL Intel as far as the salary cap goes, and I was a little uncertain as far as will they actually go for another main player. I think that obviously an option could be Gunless. Haven't heard anything about him going to Optics since the last couple of weeks, and you've also got great players like General on the bench of Chicago that I think could provide a lot of value. Not to mention that you also have a lot of very talented amateur players that very well could come into the mix and fill the gaps as they're needed. But the problem with that solution is that it might not be a solution at all. Does Seattle even understand where their big gaps are? Because of the moves that we've seen lately, with Enable coming in, then jumping back out, it kind of lends me to believe that Seattle has no idea where the flaws are in their current system. Octane has been playing incredibly well, and that's been really the only key thing that you can say about this squad. Yeah, Apathy's had a couple of great moments, but last weekend was not one of them. And if that doesn't pick up, if Apathy can't fill in that main SMG role, you've got holes all over the place. Who's running your flexes? Who's running your SMGs? Who's running your deadies and your smokes and your stuns? There seems to be some kind of a confusion as far as what the roles are looking like. And at this point in the season, that's not good. You've only got about 4 weekends left before we get to playoffs in total, which is not a lot at all. So for Seattle, things got to get better, and they got to get better quickly, and losing Karma is definitely not not a loss that you want to suffer, not at this stage of the game when you need that veteranship, you feel like, to help cater to players like Proto and Pander who are still growing as they move forward in their possible competitive careers. So my hopes not so high for Seattle, but for Karma, what happens next for him? He posted a Twitter gif of him sitting up as Coach Belichick. Maybe he's going to be looking for a coaching or analyst job. I wouldn't be surprised to see him being a valued asset on the analyst portion of the desk, to be with Nameless. Those two, I think, would be able to really bring a lot of insight and analytical content to what we're seeing kind of being pushed forward through the CDL. I would love to see him in that vein. But for now, we say farewell for Karma, and we wish him the very best as he goes through his early stages of retirement. The greatest to ever do it, and I'm sure whenever there would be a Call of Duty Hall of Fame, he would, without a doubt, be a first ballot inductee based on how many dynasties he's been able to help put together and how many championships he's been able to win. So congratulations to Karma on a very incredible career, and we wish you the very best. Until the next episode, though, hope you guys stick around. We'll be breaking down some of the things going on in the Challenger scene this weekend, as CDL has been postponed to pay tribute to George Floyd and all of the Black Lives Matter campaigns and protests that are going on around the world. So no big content coming up for the following part of the weekend, but make sure you stay tuned by subscribing. And if you like the video, make sure you like the video. Till the next one, hope you guys keep holding it down. So long.